I think the last point you made about the taste for knowledge is really, really important, guys. Mark Cuban, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, all of them read for like 4 hours a day. So reading, this is something that I never used to like reading personally. But once you're out of school and you're not having to be required to read things, it's very important. I'm constantly reading marketing books, business books, those kinds of things. The best investment I've made is not in stocks or anything like that. It's in myself by essentially books. One book that costs like $10 can spark like an idea that generates thousands of dollars in my business, right? So one way you guys can get more reading done, I don't have a lot of time to read, most people don't have time to read, is to listen to audiobooks. I listen to audiobooks in the car, and I can get a book done a week that way. So whatever it may be, you have to have a competitive advantage as an entrepreneur. So one way to get that competitive advantage is just to learn everything about internet marketing, about where the market's going, and that'll spark a lot of different ideas.
Agreed. Definitely agreed.
Yeah, I'll just touch on what he's saying. You know, there's no doubt that knowledge is totally sexy. You know, and learning is awesome. You know, but I was going to say, you know, I mentioned it, persistence and passion, I think are the biggest things. You know, when I had the beverage company, I was so damn persistent on selling this stuff that some of the distributors actually offered me a job selling their stuff. So just be so freaking driven and passionate and persistent, and things will start happening.
Yeah, I wrote down many things which have already been said. Passion, definitely number one. You have to be passionate. But a couple of things that weren't mentioned, in my opinion, are important. One is you have to be willing to fail. If you're scared of failing, entrepreneurship, well, I shouldn't say that. If you're scared of failing, it's going to keep you from reaching your full potential, in my opinion. Definitely dream so big that it scares you, because that's where the success comes in, because you'll get your goal. You'll keep going until you get it, or at least, you know, try diligently. Structure, organized, be good with people. Definitely, if you can socialize with people, you'll probably be able to sell your products a lot better. I used to not be good with people, but and it limited me a little bit. I was probably a little cocky, to be honest with you. And I had like an air of myself. Once I humbled myself and just took a step back, things took off. Last thing is surround yourself with good people, successful people. So for instance, I've never met anyone here on this panel. Before we all part ways, I'm gonna hopefully exchange business cards with everyone. They're successful entrepreneurs. Even if I never talked to them again, at least I was able to absorb their knowledge and possibly apply it towards me. If everyone has an email address, right? I'd imagine, right? If I have a question and I feel like I will maybe email one or all of them, even if one gets back to me, that's surrounding yourself with someone who's successful and may have input for you, because as soon as you think you know everything, you've lost. Absolutely. Mike was saying that. What advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs? Yeah, be willing to fail, dream, surround yourself with good people, be your own motivation. I know I'm kind of just like, you know, bullet pointing it off, but it's a little redundant at this point because all the questions link together, in my opinion, and it is a lot of similarities.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, you know, we kind of touched on this for every single question, but you know, just do it. You got nothing to lose. Just go for it and get started. So.
Yeah, that's basically it. And as I stated before, you have a vision, execute the vision without any distraction. If you have a jaded mindset, clear your mind out and actually have a conversation with yourself and see what you want to do and execute it. Do the work. It's not easy, but it can be done. I promise you. For example, the creator of BMW, he was actually building airplane engines. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the logo, but that's with the propeller. It actually originated from, that's his logo, and it originated because he was actually, if I'm correct, he was building airplane engines.
Yes, as far as I know.
Exactly. But what I'm trying to get at is, he was one of the hundreds of thousands of people, successful, full-on, multi-million-dollar entrepreneurs who overcame, issues. There were, like I said, it was like the dark nights, the dark hours, the happy celebration. But all we see on the media is this, business that's been established for decades. However, it started with one person. Even the company I work for, it started with actually 2 people in that one. Even Wall Street, it started with 3 people to Dow Jones, which is the stock market. However, these people have created a vision, like ourselves up here, like yourself, and they execute it. So just keep focused on your vision is what I'm saying.
Absolutely. Also, to ride on that statement, the original owner of Lamborghini was a lawnmower mechanic, and he tried to be hired by Ferrari, and Ferrari was cocky and told him no. Enzo Ferrari, I believe his name was. And guess what? Lamborghini was built from there. And in my opinion, I prefer Lamborghinis. Not that I own one, but
you will.
You start somewhere, You start somewhere, meaning you start your, I love all cars, but if I had a preference, I would buy a Lamborghini, is all I'm saying. But you start somewhere, that's the point. You start your business somewhere. I started being the sole operator, and now I have multiple employees that work for me. And one of the reasons why I'm so happy is because they're happy, and we're all happy, and we're all doing well. But anyways, is there any other advice that we would give to entrepreneurs? Sean?
I would say if you're thinking about starting a business, think about starting a service business rather than a product business. The reason I say that is, as a solopreneur, it's a lot less capital intensive, meaning a lot less money to put into oftentimes a service business. And you can expand a service business a lot faster, right? So for a product business, you have to put a lot of product R&D development to expand your product line. But for a service business, you can expand the complementary services pretty quickly. To give you an example, I started off with an SAT in-person course, then I did SAT online, then I did ACT, then I did private tutoring, then college admission, right? So it's much easier to expand your business as a service. It's a lot cheaper too. You need a lot more capital to do a product, and so I wouldn't worry so much about. I mean, unless you're really passionate about a particular product, I would say to get things going on your first business as an entrepreneur, you may want to think about a service business.
Absolutely. Service business, I'm sorry.
As someone who's in the product business, I second that because, as somebody who's self-funded a product business, not the best idea for your first business. But again, I was passionate enough about it to put up with the crazy things I've had to put up with for the last couple of years. If you're not crazy passionate about it, I would probably not suggest it.
Offering a service myself, intangible asset. Absolutely agree. The amount of overhead that I had initially was, in my opinion, minimal. But the amount of revenue that I ultimately have achieved for a service is good. Definitely good. If I had products, it'd be a lot harder, and it could be much more costly, which bridges us into our next question, unless someone wants to add. Financing. Oh, wait. Oh, yes. Financing your business, how much money might they need? I think we kind of briefly discussed that with products and service. I think it really depends, especially on what your idea is. You'll probably, generally speaking, in layman's terms, need more financing for a product than a service business. For instance, to start my business, I sold my car and my motorcycle. They were my prized possessions at 24 years old. And I pulled the equity out of those possessions to open my business. And I didn't need much. In my opinion, south of $10,000 was all I needed. What about you guys? What would you say?
I would say in my particular business, it would be, I would say, around 10,000, no less than 7,500.
Yeah, you'll definitely need a lot more than you think, though.
Yeah.
Again, it really all depends on the business. As somebody who's in the product business, I worked for 1.5 years before I decided to full-on start my business. And at that point, I'd say about $45,000. Plus, I had really good credit, and I basically financed everything maybe like 12 credit cards. And that worked.
Wow.
I would not recommend that for everyone. Again, I'm stupid passionate. Keyword stupid. But again, it all really depends on what you're trying to do. I think,
Yeah.
as the numbers that they mentioned, service businesses are definitely easier.
And if you go we've mentioned angel investors, if you go the conventional route and use a bank, if your credit allows you to do that, there are loans set up for entrepreneurs. One of them, which I've been utilizing, is a SBA loan, Small Business Administration Loan, I think it's called. And they're there for you, low interest rates. Mine's like 3% with a point. And generally speaking, they don't rake you over the coals too bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, every business is different. You know, my first business was like, we put in about 250,000. It wasn't nearly enough for a beverage company. You know, we should have been in the 2.5 million range, but we bootstrapped it. But we made it happen with less money. My second business was, you know, an investment of 65,000 just to get the thing off the ground. Now we're selling to hospitals, we're gonna bring in some revenue, then leverage that to go raise some more money from, you know, whether it's angel or VC, to be determined. But, you know, if you're able to start bringing in some revenue before having to go and raise money, go for it.
Can you tell us what a VC is?
Venture capitalist, Mr. Mark Cuban is a VC, where an angel investor is kind of not someone as established, just you know, usually a single or a group of people that have just been successful and invest as a passion.
They typically want a decent return on their investment
Oh,
too.
yeah.
North of 10%.
What I also like to just say is credit. You want to start when you guys, I'm not sure how many of you guys are 18, but at the age of 18, you should go to your financial institution and look along the lines of applying for a credit card to start establishing credit, because the sooner the better. You manage it, you create a score, a healthy history, and that way when you do go to lenders and you need, you know, startup loans for your personal businesses, the likelihood of you getting that, you know, obviously that and other things, but the likelihood of you getting approved for a loan with a good rate is having good credit. You have to have good credit, especially being an entrepreneur. It's very vital.
Yeah, just for a show of hands, how many people here have a job? All right, so you guys make X amount of dollars a week, right? Something that Warren Buffett said. Is everyone familiar with Warren Buffett? Well, if you don't know who Warren Buffett is, he's quite pivotal in the entrepreneurial, or I should say business world, and definitely Google him and look into him if you have a moment. But he said, and I might say the quote wrong, he said, spend your money after you've saved. Spend what's left after you saved. So if you make a weekly paycheck, the majority of it to savings. I know that sounds ridiculous. If you have bills, pay your bills, but the majority of your money to your savings, and then what's left over, spend. If you have money to begin with going into an entrepreneurial venture, even if it's $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, at least you have some sort of backbone, if you will, when it comes to the investment. Save your money, definitely save it.
Yeah, I would recommend what a lot of people here are saying, and every business is different. You might need investment, especially if you're doing a product business in the beginning, but I would say try to bootstrap if you can. Bootstrap means use your own money and funds. And so like I started my business using $900 that I had left over from scholarship money. Save money, work an extra job, you know, do whatever you can to try to self-fund your business. Now it depends on every business, but this is just my general advice. One of the benefits of that is because you get to keep more of the pie, like I was talking about earlier, if you own 100% of your business from the beginning, and then you can seek, hopefully you're generating revenue and seek investment later, or at least you've proved a proof of concept, even if you don't have revenue for investment later. So this makes sense.
Thank you.